Good morning, Mr. Tunjung. Good morning, Achan. Good morning, Mr. Purnomo. And also good morning for all the speakers for today's public lectures. Thank you so much for attending these public lectures. This is an international series of webinar. So today we will have public lectures on local government, especially and also in the development. Furthermore, this public lecture will start is supposed to be start at 9, but we will start it now because everyone is already in here. So for the further ado will be led by Mr. Eko Priyo Purnomo as the moderator. For Mr. Eko Priyo Purnomo, time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Lubna Salsabila. Lubna Salsabila, can you hear my voice clearly? Lubna Salsabila, can you hear my voice?
Would you be a bit louder, sir, because we cannot hear your voice clearly.
Okay, can you, and no, how about now? Is not better? Hello?
Yes, sir. It's
okay.
good now.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning to everyone. A bit not good morning, early good morning, because in Malaysia it's maybe already around 10 in the mornings. But in Indonesia and also in Thailand, we still have around 10 p.m. Today we will have a very good discussion. We'll be talking about how local government in dealing in ASEAN country, especially in about the crisis management. There are around 4 presenters already here. The first presenter is Dr. Pornsan from Khon Kaen University. He is a lecturer at Khon Kaen University at Department of Public Administrations. And the second presenter is Dr. Tunjung Sulaksono. He is a senior lecturer at Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. Currently, he is a secretary program of master program of public administration. And the third presenter will be Dr. Dino Khairri. He is a senior lecturer at Universiti Utara Malaysia School of Government. And the next presenter is one team, Dr. Ria and also Dr. Iffan. Of them are a lecturer at Universitas Muhammadiyah Jember. So for the first presenters, without ado, we'll start from Dr. Pornsan. Dr. Pornsan, you have 20 minutes to present. After that, all the presenter we have a 20-minute presentation. In the end of the presentation will be a question and answer. So Dr. Pornsan, it's time for your 20 minutes for your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. So can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay. I will flip their backdrop later. Okay, so let me present. So today we are having the presentation on the Thai local governance. So this is, let me share the screen. Share screen. Okay. So everyone see the presentation? Hold on.
Yes.
Oh, kita bisa share.
Not this one.
Yes.
This one. Okay. Okay. So today we're going to talk about the good local governance in Thailand, the importance of knowledge and understanding towards the civic rights and duties in administrative affairs and people's participation in local administration. So we all know that, firstly, I would like to point out that to support the implementation in good local governance, it is crucial that we must understand why people decided to or not to participate in local administrative affairs. We all know that public participation at local level is accomplished only if local people have an interest in local government affairs. The efficiency of the effectiveness of the local government is ensured when local people or citizens participate in the decision-making process and keep local government under control. Also, government will make better decisions and will have greater impacts on their communities when they increase the frequency, the diversity, and level of engagement of local people. Citizen involvement in local government will produce more public preference decision-making on part of administrators and better appreciation by the larger community among the public. So I decided to conduct a research aiming to understand the relationship between knowledge, understanding, and level of participation in administrative affairs of the local government. And I choose Khon Kaen province to be the field of study, as it is one of the provinces of Thailand located in the northeastern part, while I choose the Selain municipality, as it is a semi-rural community nearby the city center with one of the country's major universities and several community colleges, which bring in many people into the area. So in my study, I studied the relationship between independent variables, which is the knowledge and understanding in administrative affairs of the local government, to find out what is affect or what is not affect the dependent variables, which is the participation in the local government's administrative affairs in 5 aspects. First is the problems and community needs participation. Second is planning participation. Third is implementation participation. Fourth is beneficiaries participation. And fifth is monitoring and evaluation participation. The methodology was quantitative methods based upon tests and questionnaires. And the samples were 400 respondents from around 34,000 people aged 18 years and above living in Selain municipality area in Khon Kaen. And statistics for data analysis consisted of percentage, frequency, mean, standard deviation, t-test, one-way ANOVA, interval estimation, multiple regression analysis, and the finding of correlation coefficient of Pearson. So we will look into the result and analysis. I found that firstly, the level of knowledge and understanding in administrative affairs of the local government was as high level as a whole. The possible reasons for this outcome is that around 75% of the respondents was that they had a high knowledge level of understanding and knowledge that may cause from education level of the representative sample, which around 58% of them held a high school degree or higher, while only 28% of the sample has a primary school degree. Due to an educational level of the respondents, it could be assumed that literacy about knowledge of the civic rights and duties under the Constitution and the law related to the local governments were taught in schools. In addition, the participants may have learned about their civil rights, duties, and related laws through various media channels, which could promote the understanding toward the civic rights and duties of the administration affairs in their own community. Secondly, that I found that is the level of knowledge and understanding. Is the level of people participation in the local government administrative affair was rated as low as a whole, even with the spirit of the Constitution that encouraged public participation. Efforts to push such reform have been facing with several obstacles. Various issues in encouraging public participation, including the problem of awareness about the concept and the importance of public participation, structural problems of the related laws and policy and cultural related issues, both political and non-political. In fact, the nature of Thai political culture is often attached with the social and financial status of the individual, so that the status of an individual are also crucial for people to consider being a part of the community and participate in public affairs. In most Thai community, people with the lowest or lower social or financial status would participate in public affairs less than the ones with higher status. In addition, the problem within the Thai political government system could also contribute from such outcome. For example, the top-down policy making process from central government that ignore the local perspective and thus unfit with the local needs. And the lack of service mind and unity among government officials, including the widespread of corruption and the discrimination between government officials and the citizen in the local community. Thirdly, in summary, the problems and barriers to the public participation of the citizens in local government that I found were firstly, is most people are used to taking orders from above, which is a result of the centralization of the government for a long time, and prefers to be a follower rather than a leader who will stand up for change. Secondly, the citizen lack of experience in governing themselves and is not strong enough to stand truly autonomous. And thirdly, there are always a pressure from higher level of politics involved. And fourthly, and more importantly, for public participation to be successful, it is important that the mass must have the will to improve. No strategy can succeed if people do not have the intention to tackle the problem. Desire to get involved in public affairs must be very strong so that the members of the public become aware of the need to improve. However, the outcome could also be the result from the unawareness of the need to improve. And it serves no purpose if there is a need for participation, but nothing is done about it. Thus, when the need for participation occurs, members of the public should affect it in such a way that they are ready to initiate public participation. In conclusion, the people of the Selain municipality in Khon Kaen has a high level of knowledge and understanding. However, the level of participation in the local administration was low. There was a positive correlation that I found between the levels of knowledge and understanding towards the civic rights and duties of the Ministry of Affairs with the level of participation in the local administration in the Selain community. So for the recommendation stem from the study, and the result that I found is that firstly, the local government organization should provide more accessible channel of public information to promote and provide more information to build the right understandings and improve good attitude toward civic rights and duties in administrative affairs and people's participation in local administration. Local government organizations should provide more accessible channel. Although the level of knowledge and understanding in administrative affairs of the local government was a high level as a whole, some people in the sampling group did not recognize their basic rights towards the local government affairs. For example, they failed to give knowledge to the fact that by constitution, the persons who have the right to vote in an election in any local government organization shall have the right to cast votes to remove a member of the local assembly, member of a local administrative community, and local administrator from the office. Accordingly, the number of persons eligible for lodging a petition for the purpose and the rules and the procedures for the lodging of the petition, the examination of listed name, and the vote casting shall be provided by law. The second recommendation that I found from the results is that local administration and local leaders should actively advocate and encourage public opinion to ensure political participation among citizens. For example, some of the sampling group has failed to acknowledge that any act to be performed by a local government organization may have materials impacts on their livelihood, And to tackle this problem, with the support of the Constitution of Thailand, the local government organization must inform the public of the details thereof for a reasonable period of time prior to such act, and shall, in the case where it deems appropriate, or receive a request by persons having the right to vote in the election, anything that the government will do have to be conducted by a public hearing prior to such act, or may cause to be conducted a referendum or decided on the matter concerning the preparation of the budgets, expenditures, and resolve work performance for the year, in order to enable public participation in the scrutiny and supervision of the administration of the local government organization. Third recommendation is to promote a higher level of good governance into the practice and attitude of the local government official. Should be changed as follows. First, emphasize the benefits of democratic culture and the need to work with the public sector in local government and development process. Secondly, the officials must separate personal interest from the public interest, be a professional, and must be open for any monitoring and evaluating process from the public and other sectors. And thirdly, the local government and its official must seize and comply with the law relating to disclosure information, be prepared to cooperate in disclosing information to the requester as much as they can, including ensuring that officials' confidence to the disclosure of fraud and misconduct is strongly encouraged. Last but not least, the recommendation from the study is that the local government must initiate an incentives to encourage people participation at the local community, particularly toward the management affairs. Fundamentally, the local government must be driven to fulfill the needs of people and improve quality of life, as well as providing service equally for all citizens. The ultimate goal is to make local governments serve people better while getting involved with the citizen as much as they can. The ways to encourage public participation include, first is to promote public participation in the determination of policy and plans for economic and social development at both national and local levels. Secondly is promote and provide support for public participation in political decision-making. The planning of economic and social development and the provision of public services. And thirdly is to promote and provide support to public participation in the scrutiny of the exercise of the state powers. So these are the study that I have conducted on, to improve the participation aspect in the good local governance. So I found that if we have more knowledge or understanding or greater attitude towards the administrative affairs at their local levels, there are increased number of the participation, but there are also some issues that why they are not participate, although they have higher knowledge, but they fail to taking part because they thought that they are not belong in the community, or the duties is for the leaders and they are the followers. So yes, this is the published work that I've been done in the past 2 years. So if there are any question, the floor is open, and thank you so much for listening. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Achan Pornsan. It's really interesting how Khon Kaen government, especially in Sila district, encourage and also support the participation. And the next presenters, it will be Dr. Tunjung Sulaksono. He is a senior lecturer from UMY. Dr. Tunjung Sulaksono is also the secretary of our master programs on public administration. So and before we pass the times to Dr. Tunjung Sulaksono, I would like to say thank you very much indeed to all the participants who already come and join, all the participants from Thailand, Malaysia, the Philippines, Indonesia, and also some of my friends from other university. I see here from Taiwan, some like that. And also I see Achan Sungkufit already joined here. Good morning, Achan Sungkufit. And okay, actually this event was organized by ASEAN Pacific Public Administration Affairs (APSPA), support by Yusuf Kala School of Government Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, support by Master Program of Universitas Muhammadiyah, Master Program of Public Administration Affairs (UMY), and also Universitas Utara Malaysia, Universiti Muhammadiyah Jember, University of Terengganu, and also our partner from Khon Kaen University, and then Kalasin University, and then Acara University, and Mindanao State University of Amasat, and that's all. Some of our university already cooperates from this webinar, and the webinar is a webinar series. For the next 2 weeks, we will have another speaker from Thailand and also from the Philippines. Okay, the next presenter will be Mas Tunjung, Dr. Tunjung Sulaksono. Dr. Tunjung Sulaksono, please, time for yours now.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Eko, for allowing me to join and participate in this very precious event. And thank you very much for arranging this.
Please, louder, please. Mr. Tunjung, louder, please.
Okay. How about now? Is it okay? Okay. Yeah. All right. I will tell you a story about the implementation of good local government practice in Indonesia. Actually, we have two sides of story when we are talking about good local government, good local governance in Indonesia. The happy story and also the sad story. But because it is rainy in Yogyakarta today, so I will share a sad story of a good local government practice in Indonesia. Okay, I will try to show you that we have Indonesia, we have a relatively long history of good governance and also good local governance. I think we all know that the monetary crisis in Southeast Asia in the late of 1990 hit economy of Indonesia badly. And during these difficult times, there are many international agencies afford assistance to the Indonesian government through a package in the form of SAP, a structural adjustment program, and several other assistance mechanisms. Good governance is starting to emerge in Indonesia. For example, the World Bank introduced the concept of good governance in Indonesia using at least 3 entry points, that is CGI, PGR, or Partnership for Governance Reform, and also Justice for the Poor. Another institution, such as International Monetary Fund, also provides loan assistance on terms of contained in a document called LOI, Letter of Intent, which began on January the 15th, 1998. At least from 1997 to 2003, Indonesia had signed 26 LOIs with the IMF. Okay. The demand for realizing good governance, according to Jimli Asidiki, rises along with the criticism of the government bureaucracy that grows out of control and enters all areas of community life, resulting in what is so-called as hyper-regulated society. According to Asidiki, the government bureaucracy becomes very enormous since it was formed by Parkinson law paradigm. It also resulted in slow and unresponsive bureaucracy. A couple years ago, Professor Eko and I had a research about the palm plantation in Sumatra, and we call this phenomena as bureaucracy inertia. Yeah. Furthermore, the slow and unresponsive bureaucracy also gives spaces for any kinds of corruption. Anyway, the crisis was getting worse, although we had been assisted by the IMF and the economic crisis leading to the emergence of a reform movement, or we call it as reformasi, in 1998 as a form of public distrust to the government or to the new order regime. And we know that the movement had succeeded in overthrowing the authoritarian Suharto regime, which had controlled Indonesia for at least 32 years from 1966 to 1998. Thus, if we conclude that the implementation of good governance in Indonesia is the result of two driving factors. Externally, the implementation of good governance is a prescription put forward by international agencies such as IMF, World Bank, to restore Indonesian economy. And internally, good governance is a demand for reform, which demand governance reform as one of the main agenda that must be realized immediately. Okay, there was a big bang of the change of pattern of state and local government in Indonesia with the implementation of laws number 22 in the year of 1999 on local government, in which the implementation of the laws led to the deepening of good governance. The good governance is not just implemented in the central governments anymore, but it also should be implemented in local areas. So the laws, the law number 22 of 1999, also considered as a turning point in changing the pattern of relation between the central and the local governments. The laws also give significant authorities, to the Indonesian local government, and it ending and at least 25 years of centralistic government in Indonesia. From now on, the local government is heavily constituted by the well-known good governance principles such as transparency, accountability, participatory responsiveness, and also effectiveness and efficiency. Okay, and after about 25 years of good governance implementation in Indonesia, does the heavily good governance influenced decentralization succeeded in achieving its goals? In the matter of facts, it has been proved that the implementation of decentralization has caused massive corruption cases. Based on data that we received from the Ministry of Home Affairs of the Republic of Indonesia, from 2002 to 2015, there were 343 local government heads who faced legal proceedings at the prosecutor office, the police, and also KPK or Anti-Corruption Agency Indonesia due corruption cases. And the Pilkada on the direct local government head election also exaggerate this corruption prevalence since its first execution in 2005 to date. Hundreds of regional heads have become suspects in massive corruption cases. The significant authorities possessed by the regional head, I think, allows the practice of abuse of power, which leads to corruptive behavior of those officials. And we have to underline that corruption cases also often occurs consecutively in one area. In Riau province, in Sumatra Island, its three successive governors have been appointed by the anti-corruption agency to be convicted of corruption cases. Yeah. In North Sumatra province, it also experienced a similar story in which two of its governors were convicted of corruption. Actually, prior to decentralization, corruption cases were only in Jakarta or were only in big cities of Indonesia, in Medan, Surabaya, in all other big cities. But after the decentralization policy implemented, corruption cases is almost evenly distributed throughout Indonesia. The anti-corruption agency in Indonesia, the KPK, noted that until 2020, out of 34 provinces, yeah, uh, 26 provinces in Indonesia were tainted by corruption. Yeah, it is more than 80 or 70% of provinces in Indonesia had been tainted by corruption cases. And if we close look with the corruption cases, the pattern of corruption committed by regional officials are relatively similar. They generally accept bribes from the private sector uh, as a kind of fee for granting business permits, especially, and natural resource management permits, development permit, and also winning project tenders that had been held by governments. The activity of bribery usually involves executive officer as bribe recipients, bureaucrats and civil servant as intermediate, and private or businessmen as bribes. And this type of corruption is known as state capture corruption. State capture actually is a condition in which private power is significantly able to influence the government decision-making process in order to benefit the interests of certain parties. And state capture is an activity of co-opting, intervening, and dominating state policies through bribery and also pressure. There is a interesting writing of Robin Renwick in his book How to Steal a Country, State Capture in South Africa. Yeah, Robin Renwick in that book characterized state capture into three practices. The first is paying bribes to public officials or decision makers to influence the process of making rules and laws. The second one is pressuring public officials or policymakers without having to pay bribes, which is usually done by companies owned by political elites or people close to the political elite. And the third one is administrative corruption, namely giving bribes to officials, bureaucrats, or law enforcers so that they do not implement the rules properly. I think those three symptoms or three characteristics of state capture operation uh, can be found easily in Indonesia. In a report entitled Business Environment and Enterprise Performance that had been released by the World Bank in 2010, the World Bank stated that the practice of state capture is rife in poor and developing countries. Uh, what make it rife in poor and developing countries? The report also told us that the low integrity of public official and also the chaos in the bureaucratic system are thought to be fertile ground for breeding conspiracy between rude businessmen, rotten politicians, and also corrupt bureaucrats. And now, 2.5 decades since the reform movement began, the practice of state capture corruption has actually grown more virile. The implementation of the regional autonomy or local autonomy in Indonesia, and also the pilkada, the local direct head election, had been considered as two main factors to the widespread practice of state capture at the local and regional level. The persistence of state capture practice is due to two yet related factors, according to Nur Rahman. The first is the culture of Indonesian people, and the second one is the weak socio-political control by the civil society. what is meant by cultural factor, namely the still strong culture of feudalism and patronalism in society, and in feudal patrimonial relation, the relation between the political elite and society tends to be asymmetric or hierarchical. And we know that in good government, it should be similar standing between state, private, and also civil society. But the facts told us that in Indonesia, there are still hierarchical relation between the elite and the people. Okay, as the closing remarks, I think the phenomenon of state capture is undeniable. It is an evidence that good governance in local areas not been succeeded to be implemented. It is evident also that the role of the state and the private sector is so prominent. The low level of public participation, or what had been called by Dr. Pornsan as engagement, yeah, of the people is still very low. Without proper community participation and control, in the end, I think the state and the private sector are free to collude in order to satisfy their economic desires. Nevertheless, we have to admit also that Indonesia have a lot of development in good local government too, such as some initiative from the local areas. But I will keep the theme for another occasion. Thank you very much, Pak Eko, and thank you very much for another speaker in this precious occasion.
Thank you very much, our brother Dr. Tunjung Sulaksono, who already gave a very good presentation about how Indonesian government struggling to make good governance, and how Indonesian government really struggling to make sure that the good governance or governance in Indonesia to be more transparent and participative. And the next presenter after Dr. Tunjung Sulaksono, it will be two presenter one package. Dr. Ria Angin is a senior lecturer from Department of Public Administration Affairs, Universiti Muhammadiyah Jember, and also Dr. Iffan Muhammad. He also a lecturer at Universitas Muhammadiyah Jember. Please, Dr. Ria Angin and also Dr. Iffan, your time is the same, only 20 minutes, so you can divide it. Who is the first speaker and who will be in the second one? Or Dr. Ria Angin, it's time for you now.
Thank you very much. Dear audience, good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
I want to explain you about our research, and the title is Collaborative Governance on Social Safety Network during the pandemic COVID-19. COVID-19, as we have known together, has spread all of the world. Since the beginning of the COVID-19, we found the emergence of initiatives from government institutions and NGO, as well as community groups, to manage the social safety network. We have categorized these activities into two types: formal collaborative governance and non-formal collaborative governance. The formal collaborative governance are a collaboration between the national to the lowest level of government. These institutions have the authority to manage the social safety network for people who have affected by the COVID-19.
Wilayah Muhammadiyah Jawa Tengah yang tentu
non-formal collaborative governance are collaborations between NGO, mass organization, religious organization, student organization, and other community groups which have no authority, but they have the initiative to manage the social safety net governance. all the organization that we call it formal and non-formal collaborative using governance perspective. The formal accountability system has been regulated by the law, whether the non-formal accountability runs naturally depends on the trust between the member of the organization. And then transparency, the formal transparency system is controlled by regulation, whether the non-formal depend on the mutual agreement among the organization. And then the third values is all activities of formal collaborative are depend on the law number 40, 20, in the year of 2004 and Impress or President Instruction number 4, 2020. But the non-formal, they have mutual agreement as the highest decision and must be implemented, all of them. The formal collaborative governance has 3 programs. That is, the first is program Keluarga Harapan, and then Keluarga Penerima Manfaat, and then cash and basic food program. All the program is done by the national to the lowest level government, and the mechanism is bottom up. That is from the lowest government, and then from we call it from the RT, Rukun Tetangga, and then Rukun Warga, and then the village, and then the district. Then non-formal collaborative governance has 2 types of program. That is charity, and then small-scale entrepreneurship development. And the money is for all the people who get affected by the COVID-19. They get in simple procedure only by recommendation from the peer group. And this is the data. Maybe Mr. Iffan will continue the explanation. Please, Mr. Iffan.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ria. This is the number of PKH recipients in 2020. There is 10 billion KPM with a budget allocation about 36 trillion rupiahs. Next. Okay. The next I will explain about the charity program. The first one is Food Bank Center in Bondowoso. Okay, this is a solidarity of fulfillment of food for the communities in Bajuran village in Bondowoso that establish a food bank center, or we call it Lumbung Pangan. So agricultural products that are collected from the community, which will later be used for the community together. The second is the second is Jogotongo, Semarang. Okay, Jogotongo, which in Indonesia mean is take care of the neighbor, is a movement to look after the neighbor, work in hand and work together in the face of the COVID-19 pandemics. Jogotongo balance health aspect that maintain the health of citizens economic aspect, that ensuring the resident basic needs are met, social and security aspect, that maintain safety and comfort of resident, and entertainment aspect, about reducing resident saturation by implementing independent entertainment according the local wisdom. The third is vegetable solidarity. The vegetable solidarity is a movement that creates from neighbor unit. There is rukun tetangga that we always in Indonesia, to community unit that is rukun warga. So if there is a neighbor who are infected with COVID-19 virus, they will carry out the independent isolation. Therefore, the neighbor will work together to help the neighbor in filling their daily food. This is seen in many cities in Indonesia. Next. Next. Okay. Next is the religion organization charity programs. So in each religion has their own organization. They are raising a donation among themselves and for themselves. Here we describe the activity of Muhammadiyah and Aisyah. In this picture, we can look that Muhammadiyah and Aisyah has made fundraising among them. The money that have been collected will be given to the affected people in 31 million people that give in various types. Distribute masks, spraying disinfectant, distributed hand sanitizer, ready to eat food, serving patient, rest assistant, and the others. Next. Okay. In medium on long-term program, we can see Let's Bakabong. Let's Bakabong is in Makassar. This campaign is to encourage an independent gardening movement. The result of planting are advised not to be sold. The campaign is to starting planning for fulfillment of daily needs to anticipate the challenge of scarcity of food need from the community in the future. Next is Desa Siaga COVID. Okay. Desa Siaga COVID in Jember, Panti, was a disaster preparedness village that was deliberately formed to train the community readiness to be ready for flash flood and landslide. However, when the COVID-19 pandemic occurred, it changed the function slightly to readiness to face COVID-19 pandemic. Next.
And then, okay, the conclusion. As we have here together that the formal institution and the non-formal institution work together to save the communities that have been affected by COVID-19 through social safety nets. The formal institutions have coercive power and legal regulation, and the budget is from the APBN and the APBD, while the non-formal institutions work based on mutual agreements among themselves and their financial budget from donation, and their work for the same goals. That's all, I think, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, our sister Dr. Ria Angin and also Dr. Iffan Muhammad from Universiti Muhammadiyah Jember. Last but not least, the presenter is our brother, Dr. Dino Khairri. He is my old friend, already study with the same university with me. University of Leeds in the United Kingdom, and currently he is a senior lecturer at Universiti Utara Malaysia School of Government. And Dr. Dino Khairri, it's time for you now to present, and your time will be 20 minutes. And before that once, all the participants, if you have any question or any comment, please you can write down to your chat here, and write down any comment or suggestion. In the end, session or question and answer, I will read it, and hopefully all the speakers will be answered later. And about the attendance, the list of attendance we will share during the question and answer. Okay, Dr. Dino Khairri, it's time for you now.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and very good morning to all my colleague, I think, Dr. Eko, one of my friends in, I think, few years ago, and Dr. Eko have few times visit out my university in Kedah, and few of new friends, I think, from Indonesia, from Yogyakarta, from Thailand. Actually, my S2 is from Indonesia. I'm done my S2 in UGM. I'm the alumni of Gajah Mada University, and I have a lots of memory in okay, that's why when Mr. Eko called me and asked me to present something, I say, yes, of course, but give me a few time because I just came back from a reserve military officer trainings. Okay, I just go directly, I think. Today, maybe most of us, including the Malaysian citizen, that the Malaysia politics is in the unstable situation. Okay, actually, the unstable situation in Malaysia is not just the first time it's happened. It has been happened in few times due to the reason when the opposition party make a coalition, or sometimes we call as an alliance. Okay, they have an opposition party make a coalition and alliance. That's why Malaysia is going towards maybe to be a two-party system, such as in United States. As we know, they have a Republican and Democrat. But in Malaysia, for your view, the opposition is not a strong alliance. This is due to the reason every opposition party still have used their own flag, use their own ideology, use their own manifesto, and so on. Okay. Okay. As I discussed earlier, two-party system means that a contest by only two political parties or two alliance political party, which the two political parties supposed to have similar ideology and manifesto. However, in Malaysia's situation until this day, the same similar ideology and manifesto has been looked as a failure. And suppose when we talk about and discuss about the two-party system, they're supposed to have a consensus between the alliances between political party. And this is my fieldwork, my personal fieldwork with a few academicians and politicians, direct interview with Dr. Ismail, for example. The two-party alliance should be continued because it has been accepted by the voters. However, the politician view from Professor Samso Amri, one of the expert in political science in Malaysia, Professor Diraja, as you know that Professor Amri is one of our expert in political sciences. His view that although the people had begun to accept the two-party alliances, but in reality, most of the politicians and the political parties still were not prepared to act on the system. That's why if you realize that until today, the politician or the political parties still have lots of issues. And in interview with Datuk Haji Insino Pakurazi, it looks that it was not easy to implement the two-party alliance system because the ethnic political party has always played a significant role in Malaysia politics. Okay, just to be a share, Malaysia as a multi-ethnic country, we have a Malays as a majority, the Chinese and the Indian. All these three main ethnic has been represented by a political parties. For example, the Malays has been represented by the UMNO, or we call the United Malays Nation, or the PAS from the Islamic parties. And meanwhile, the Chinese has been represented by the MCA, or is called by Malayan Chinese Association, and the Indian has been represented by the MIC, Malaysia Indian Community. However, when it's become a two political system represented by a multi-ethnic has been destroyed slowly. Okay, the two-party system not only happened in 2018. Actually, in Malaysia condition, the two-party system or the alliance has been, I think, a few times. For example, in 1990 and 1995 general election is called by Gagasan Rakyat. It's an alliance between the Semangat 46. Semangat 46 have been formed by one of the Tengku Razali, one of the experienced person in UMNO, and PAS known as Angkatan Perpaduan Ummah, but only focus in Kelantan, which, as we know, that Kelantan is one of the state in Malaysia, majority is a Malays, and resulted in 1999 general election. Barisan Nasional have won 127 from 180, and in 1995 general election, the Barisan Nasional have won 162 from the 180 seat in parliament seat. However, in 1999, as you know, I think most of our friends in political science has know that the issue of Anwar Ibrahim have been sacked by the government. In 1999, the alliance has between PAS has been represented by the Islamic, the Malays, DAP by the Chinese, PRM by the ideology of socialists, and Keadilan have been formed by the Anwar Ibrahim have been formed. And at that moment, BN, Barisan Nasional, has the stronger political party, have only 148 from 192 parliament seat. However, the DAP, the Chinese political party, has quit in 2001 due to the reason PAS policy to forming Islamic State in Malaysia. And in 2008 again, the opposition party have made alliance between the PKR, the Keadilan, as I mentioned earlier, have been formed by Anwar Ibrahim, PAS as an Islamic party, and DAP. And at this general election in 2008, the BN, the Barisan Nasional, have only 140 seats from the 220 seat, the parliament seat. However, the Pakatan Rakyat have won 5 states: Penang, Kelantan, Kedah, Kuala Lumpur, and Selangor. Maybe for your information, from all my colleagues and the student, Mr. Eko student, these 5 states, especially Kuala Lumpur, Selangor, and Penang, is a rich state, and Lazari state is a town state in Malaysia. That's why the opposition party only attack all the rich state. And again, lastly, in 2018, this is surprisingly the government when the Pakatan Harapan, again by DAP, the PKR, and Parti Amanah Rakyat. Parti Amanah Rakyat is from PAS. They have a problem in PAS, Parti Islamic, and they form a new, is called Parti Amanah Rakyat. Parti Pribumi Bersatu, led by Tun Mahathir, and Parti Warisan Sabah, the former Vice President of UMNO, Syafi'i Abdal. This is the first time the Pakatan Harapan have won 121 or majority seat, 2/3 from 222 parliament seat, and Barisan Nasional for the first time in Malaysia political history has lost the power to control the government with only won 79 from 222 seat, and PAS as an Islamic party at this moment have won 18 from 222 seat. And due to this 208 general election result, until today, for your all my friends and my colleague information, until today, the Malaysia political system is not unstable due to none of political party have won 2/3 or simple majority, and it's called like frog jump, kata, kodok. Some politicians jump to Barisan Nasional, and some politicians after few months jump to the opposition party, and until today. And for your information, Malaysia is quite interesting. For the first time, Yang di-Pertuan Agong, or the king in Malaysia, we call Yang di-Pertuan Agong, has indirectly influenced in Malaysia political system when has choose Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin as our Prime Minister. And for your information, Malaysia has been declared Darurat or Emergency Act, I think for 2 months already. But interesting, our Darurat or Emergency Acts, the people still can working, the people still can do whatever a normal activity that done, but only Darurat means that for the first time Darurat had been implemented in Malaysia, which at this moment no general election, 15 general election can be made until the COVID-19 been ended. Quite interesting, this Darurat. Maybe some people is worried because when we talk about Darurat, the military will control everything, but it's not. The people still can continue their activity, but it's just a Darurat to not have a election at this moment. I think that is a simple presentation from me. I think it's clear, direct for two-party system. And before I ended my presentation, I just would like to say thank you for the opportunity and salam Ramadan if we have a Ramadan tomorrow, inshallah. Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Dino Khairri. And currently, Dr. Dino Khairri is already associate professor at Universitas Utara Malaysia. And I just want to let you know as well, Dr. Khairri, because this is an international webinar, all the participants coming not only from Indonesia, but also some other countries, such as Thailand, Malaysia, and also from the Philippines. And I see some of our friends here from Universitas Muhammadiyah University, Thailand as well. Welcome on board from Muhammadiyah University, and also Mindanao State University on the Philippines. Welcome on board. Sorry, I haven't say welcome for you in the beginning because there are many people already come and joins. Okay, the next session will be question and answer for those participants. If you have any question or comment, please feel free, raise your hand, and then please unmute. Lubna or Rizky, you can help to unmute the participant who want to ask question, please.
Okay, sir.
For all the participants, if you have any question, if it's in Bahasa Indonesia, you might also ask the keynote speakers. We will be translate the question from you. For the others, if you are not confident enough to ask, you may just write it in the chat box.
From the Thailand, if you have a question, you can write down also in Thai. And after that, Ajahn Pornsan will translate for you and answer directly. And from Indonesia, you can write down in Bahasa. I think there is one question here, Lubna, if you can see it in the box. From Jember. Can you read it to me, Lubna?
Yes, sir, but yeah. I think he sent the participants in the question privately, not in the chat box for everyone. So here I will also read one of the one that being sent to me in the private chat. So the question is, from your point of view, what could we do as a citizen to support the establishment of good local governance, as we knew that our involvement is important in helping the local government to develop? Therefore, what kind of form Therefore, what form of participation should we take to make it sure that our act is impactful to the local government development?
Okay, can you read? Can you read slowly for the first question and the second question, please, Lubna?
Okay, from the keynote speaker point of view, what could we do as a citizen to support the establishment of good local governance? As we already knew that the involvement of public participation is really important, but in what form of public participation should we do to make sure that our action make an impact into the local government development?
I got it. Okay, the first one, we start from the back. Dr. Dino Khairri, do you have some answer on this question? Dr. Dino Khairri?
Give others to answer first.
Okay. Dr. Pornsan, do you have some comment from this question? How to encourage and also make sure that governance in local government can be implemented properly, and what kind of program that we can support this idea?
Okay, so for I'm gonna answer in the Thailand perspective. So first of all, you know, in the past like 6 years, we have the coup d'etat, and we don't really have the real democracy. And first, if my student were asking me this question, I would answer first is to go out and make an election. You know, right now we are under the local election all over the country, and the number is increasing because the new generation really interested in the political situation. So first is go out and make an election whenever possible. And secondly, in Thailand, we have something called a public hearing, which will be conducted every time the local government will do anything that impacts a community. And this is from my perspective and from the experience that I've been in the field, and also my personal experience, this is a very, very good way for the people to participate. But there are also some issues. An issue that I found that why people do not attend these hearings. First of all, is because there are lack of a communication from the local government, or sometimes the local government, intentionally try to ignore or to, not give information to the public for, attending the hearing. But if the public know about the hearing and they, attend the public hearing, or to have the petition to do anything, in the local area, this would affect or guarantee that the local government will, follow the public opinion. So, in every part of in Thailand, we do have this public hearing, but it depends on how the people first know the information, or secondly give, their interest into attending those hearings. But I'm not sure if in Indonesia, do you have like public hearing for the local people before the government would do anything? I'm not so sure. But in Thailand, this channel is very effective, and the number of people who attend this hearing are increasing, which is a very give a light to the next generation democracy.
Okay, I just would like to add something. I think most of the country, including Malaysia, actually the new generation and the media social in this day, the government failed to control anything that has been spread to the social, and that's why I think, including Malaysia, that's why the government cannot expect that the government of Barisan Nasional, they cannot expect that they are lose for the election, because not only the young generation needs a new government, However, in 2018 election, actually the opposition party has played the Facebook, the Instagram, and all the media social to separate all the kinds that negative that has been done by the present government. That's why the young generation and especially the urban area have choose the opposition parties. And I think the democracy system nowadays has been changed. And as we know that they have no a single theory that say that the democracy system is the best system. For example, in United States, as we know, in 2000 election in United States, although that Argo have won the number of voting, however, at that moment, Bush became the president because of the system. That's why, as we know that we have a lot of system, including, I think, Indonesia in 2004, I think between Megawati, between Gus Dur at that moment, between Susilo Bambang, Yudhoyono, I think because of the system, we cannot say that they have a democracy is the best system, because as we know that democracy has spread lots of democracy system. We have first past the post, we have a direct democracy, we have simple plurality, we have absolute majority, and so on. Okay, it depends to the system actually. However, I agree with Miss just now, Doctor just now, that is in the new generation. I think they need a change. They want a change actually.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Ria Angin or Dr. Iffan, do you want to add some more?
I want to answer the question.
Yeah.
In the context of the program of social safety network. As we have know together in Indonesia, we have the program of social safety network is actually a national program and has regulated by the law of number 40 in the year of 2004 and the instruction of President or Res, in Res number 4, the year is 20. And the implementation of this program is decentralized to the district, didesentralisasikan sampai ke tingkat kabupaten. Who will receive the program of PKH, program keluarga harapan, and the program of keluarga manfaat, program keluarga manfaat. The data is come from the district and the village government. This is then and controlled by the dinas sosial and the district. This is why that all the program is decentralized governance. Maybe Mr. Iffan will add my question, add my answer.
Thank you very much. Actually, in decentralization is encourage the involvement of citizen in making political decision directly and indirectly. So in the end, public participation will be high and will affect the needs of public service. I think that is my answer.
Okay, thank you very much for this answer. Actually, we can learn a very good explanation that in some country we facing on problem, basically on problem about how we can ensure that the governments can hear and then implements the society needs. But in the other way, how we can make sure that the society as well their needs actively. And the next question, Mbak Luna, are there any more questions in your chat?
Yes, sir. Let me show my because I already have the question on written here, so we may take a look to these together.
Okay, read it now. Okay, nah.
Can you see my screen clearly?
Yeah, you can see it. Okay, read it now.
Okay, so the second question is how the implementation of decentralization affect the quality of democracy and public services innovation in the local governments. The third question is
No, one by one. Okay, the first question is how we can make sure that the local participation can support the democracy in each country. So we can start from Pornsan. Do you have some idea about this one? The second question.
Okay, the second question is how implementation of the decentralization affect the equality of democracy and public service innovation. Yes, tremendously. For Thailand, you know, like the current government, I think many people like have of the people that dislike the central government, and they would act, you know, like against their central government by, you know, go to the local government to make their request. And, you know, from the past election, the local election in the local government, they are the majority of the people, they choose, you know, the government that against the local, the central government. So the decentralization in terms of the effect of the quality of democracy, I think is, you know, is tremendously. People in the local can, you know, participate in, you know, something that they see as important to their life, you know, more than when they think about a, you know, national policy, like, you know, maybe the prices of the agriculture products that they don't really grow. Like if people in, you know, the Northeast area, they don't really care about the price of the rubber trees in the South. Same as the people in the South, they don't really care about the price of the rice, you know, that people grow all over the country except the South. But you know, when people go out and they can involve with the local government, you know, that due to the decentralization, they can act or they can stress on their issue more for the government to act, you know, related to their needs. Also, the public service innovation is improved. You know, in case of Thailand, we have like in many cities, we trying to develop something called smart city at in Khon Kaen also, you know, like many professors in Khon Kaen University working on the smart city. And the smart city is the idea that, you know, the local people and the local private sector and public sector can be joining and create innovation for their province. Like for Khon Kaen, we will have the high-speed train, which is the first in the country. The high-speed train is not from the central government, but it's from the, you know, the local government that work with private sector and work with the local community. And that's why, you know, like I think the decentralization affect, like in the good way, tremendously to the increasing of good democracy and, you know, the invention of the new public services. Yeah. Thank you for the question.
Thank you. Interesting how we can see that Thailand already try to support the implementation, also the participation, and in in the case of hate speech. And the next one, can see in the answer from Dino. Do you have one from this question, Mas Dino?
I think the second question we already answered just now.
Yeah.
I think the third question, what could we do as citizens?
As citizens.
The establishment of good local government. We knew that our involvement is important, but in what form of participation should we take? Okay, yeah. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the young generation, they are more rational. Okay, the young generation is more rational, and they use the best track to give their view. Just don't use social media. I think the best way. Okay, just if you are like or dislike, you can choose or just say through the medium of election, for example. Okay, you use the medium and election. However, to choose a local government, for example, Malaysia has tried after the 2018 election. The Penang state has they tried to make election for the local government members. However, this thing has been fail and fail again. Okay, they try a new method which the young generation can choose their local executive member, but it been influenced by the politician, and this method has been failed. And I think for the young generation in this day, they just can help the local government in many ways. For example, voluntary jobs. For example, for any voluntary, okay? That is from my perspective, Mr. Eko. And local government is quite hard to establish.
Okay. Dr. Ria Angin, do you want to add some information on this one? Or Dr. Tunjung already there?
I'm here, Pak Eko.
Okay. Do you want to answer for the third question, Mas Tunjung?
Yeah, I think the other speaker has answered completely, but I think I have another version of Indonesian answer, Pak Eko, because Indonesia, we have to admit that we still have a long way to go, since the condition of hierarchical standing between the elite and also the society is a product of 3 decades of authoritarian states that is repressive for any political participation. So I think in this more democratic condition, the state should encourage the people to participate in all the means that is possible, not to frighten the people, to be criticized, to be critical to the government. And secondly, I think the society should be political literacy. Yeah, they should have political literacy, so they know their position and what kind of participation that they could contribute to enhance or to make progress for our good local government. That's all.
Okay, for the third question, I think we can learn something from Thailand, especially in the current situation when in Thailand still under military authority. So how you can answer and dealing with this issue, Pornsan, when we are look at this issue about the participation, involvement, and then the democracy. I think it's a bit scary sometimes we discuss about democracy in Thailand.
Yes, very dangerous right now. Well, just in the point of academic view, but I mean, like right now, I feel that the society have, like improve their interest in the democracy, especially like in Malaysia, that we can see. I think it's not just in Malaysia. I think in the world, global trend that the new generation, they want to act. They have more interest in politics. They just want to go out and, make their voice heard. And in Thailand, I mean, at the local level, it seems fine. We can just, we can exercise our rights as a citizen. But, as a higher level, as a higher, like a central government, they tend to ignore the people's voice. Right now in Thailand, the form of participation that are effective would be, first is the, through local government. And secondly, like as the new generation is doing right now, is to voice our, opinion in the social media. The social media right now is very important in Thailand because they are the only outlet that people can actually, express their needs, express their opinion towards the government. But, related to the law that the military has enacted, they are very dangerous, and you must be very careful what we say in, in the social media. And it's really hard to see what the future will bring in form of the, the participation as a whole level. But right now, I think the only positive thing is that the local government still, effectively, act accordingly to the people's need. But, like in Thailand, we have like the three systems. The first is the central government. The second is the local government. And the local government is spread into two kinds. First kind is the directly assigned from the central government. But the second one is the, the directly elected from the local people. So the second one, the politicians that were elected from the local government, they're still, in the office and acting accordingly for the public and increase the participation along the way. But, like in the big picture, it's really hard to say that we really have the participation. Even with the last election, there are, many corruption and cheating all over the country. And the most effective way right now is to spread the needs, through the social media, but very dangerous right now. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. It's a very good view that actually in terms of the academic, we can still learn and we can expect to get some information that there is a change and there is a dynamic influence in Thailand case. And the next question will be number 4.
Prof. Eko,
yes, okay.
May I ask something about Thailand? Is
okay,
that
sure.
military and the police department all is under the king?
Yes.
Yes.
I couldn't say that though. As like normally is, like in the papers,
yes,
the military would only support or protect the monarchy.
Okay.
And the police as well. And but like it's very sensitive for saying this, but like in Thailand, all the political units is like receive the command order from the king.
Okay.
Yes, but like under the in the constitution, they said the king have to be act above political, turmoil or anything. But right now, he very much involved in political issues.
All right.
And that's why the new generation feels like they have to be a reform in terms of the reform at the monarchy, reform that, the king must be really act under the constitution, have to be, like watched by the law. So because, right now he's doing everything that, have a privilege and or like doesn't have to follow the constitution.
Okay. Oh, because if in Malaysia, the military is under the king, but the police is under the government, under the prime minister. That's why if any mistake done by the government, if they are using the police, the king is always prepared with the military to be check and balance. That's why in Malaysia the reformation demonstration still can be control. Anything unstable political, the last method they will see the yang di Pertuan Agong, or we call the king. All right.
Yeah, that should be like that. But there's no check and balance now in Thailand.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for your answer. Dr. Ria, do you want to add more? Atau Iffan? If not, we will move to the 4th question.
Number 4, maybe I will.
Okay, for the number 4 question, okay, please, Dr. Ria, if you want to answer for number 4.
Yes, I think the best action is by controlling all the activities of the government. The role of the media mainstreaming and the role of media, social media is important. And then, as we know, our last Menteri Sosial get punishment from the government is because it is corruption. And this is a kind of control from the media and from the public, I think. Maybe you will continue, Mr. Iffan.
Okay, I will add some information. Indeed, in the local government is limited, but the important thing is that there is a joint effort to tackle COVID-19. That's why public-private partnership is more needed to do together to tackle, to overcome with organization like NGO, social communication, social community, and etc. Maybe the implementation must be start from the in Indonesia. We call it rukun tetangga. Maybe in Malaysia or Thailand not know about this. This is the neighborhood unit that can implement how to overcome the COVID-19. I think that's
okay. Mr. Tunjung Sulaksono, do you want to add some more answer for this one?
I cannot agree more, Pak Eko, with the question, because we have to admit that there are some disalignment between the central and local government decision and also policies. I think in this case, the central government in this pandemic area, the central government should be more strong. Strong in the term of its policies, not authoritative, but it should be strong, and it should be a more clear program to overcome this pandemic. So the local government doesn't confuse anymore with what they should take as long as this pandemic happen. Okay, that's all, Pak Eko.
Pak Eko masih ke mute, Pak.
Okay. Okay, Pornsan, thank you very much, Dr. Tunjung. And Pornsan, do you want to add some more answer for this one?
On the 4th questions?
Yeah.
Yes, it is interesting that, this happening like everywhere. In Thailand, we also have this kind of problem that the central government make different regulation and resulting in the confusion to the citizen. But in my perspective, this is a very challenging situation, and it's very new, and the government, you know, at both central and local, they're trying their best to manage this pandemic. In Thailand, we, you know, in the past year, we do have really good results in controlling the number of the COVID-19 patients. But I think what should the action should be the government take? I think the central government, they are doing the right thing right now for Thailand. They just, you know, make the like a very vague public policy, and, you know, makes only the policy that's really you know, affect like the vast majority of population, but they leave some room for the local government to make the law or make the policy that, you know, they can be done differently in each areas. I think the result of that policy affect on the number of COVID-19 that we can control, because the local government, they know their people best, and they have like the officials who know their area, who get involved closely with to the community. And like if they have like a people traveling, you know, into your village, the local government will know because of the official who lives there, and they can see that, oh, that's the stranger coming from, you know, other cities, and they can report, you know, the people who, you know, coming into their city or community or whatever. I think the best way is the central government should leave some room, like, you know, to the local government to act accordingly to their situation, because in each area they have different issues. Like in the south, people are not tend to, you know, move around very much, but in the central area of Thailand, people do. We have many tourist spots in the central, so they just, you know, want to travel around. That's why the number of the central area have, you know, higher than other places in Thailand. And I think the best action should be stem from the local government, because they know their people best, and they know, you know, like the real issue that's been happening in their community. Yes, I think the central government should give more power to the local government. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Thank you very much, Achan Pornsan. Dr. Dino, do you have some comment from number 4 question? Dr. Dino? Dr. Dino? Hello?
Hello. Skip first.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. And the last question, it will be coming number 5. It's about, if we're talking about good governance, and then there is some issue on human resources and any indicators, and in dealing with some this indicator or some obstacle, how we can make sure that the good governance can be implemented based on the local value as well. I think it's very interesting, because we are talking about the governance in local people and also in the central government. We have to deal with our culture as well. We cannot deal with this governance, but we omit or we not to be aware with the local value. So I think it's very interesting question. For the last question, or question number 5, this one, I will start from Dr. Ria Angin and maybe Dr. Iffan. Do you want to answer number 5 about the local value dealing with good governance?
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Eko. I'll try to answer this question. In my opinion, if there is no guarantee from the law, it is difficult to implement the good local governance. So there must be right to speech, right to say and so on for the people, and they must be a good citizens, yeah. And villages in Indonesia, Pilkades, pemilihan kepala desa, is a kind of a control from the people to the government. Yeah, Pilkades is an interesting moment for all the people to choose the government, the next government from this local. It is a localized problem in villages in Indonesia. Maybe Mr. Iffan will continue my my answer.
Okay, thank you. I will add some opinion. The first one, must be a training for the state employees in Indonesia, state ASN. That is very important to achieve a good local governance. Because if there is no training for the state employees, there is no a good local governance that can be achieved. The second, public awareness must be grown to support a good local governance. If the public awareness will grow, it makes the society will be participate to achieve a good local governance. The third, we must enforce the law fairly, because like Dr. Ria said, that we cannot achieve a good local government if the law is not good. The fourth is the most important thing is the awareness of their own people to solve their problems. That is the first awareness from the people. I think just only that, sir.
Okay, thank you very much for your answer. If we're talking about the local value, I just want to emphasize the answer from Dr. Ria and Iffan. In Indonesia case, actually we have the election, the local election. In this case, Dr. Ria and Iffan give an example about all the village to a local election to elect their leaders. So in Indonesia, actually every 8 years there is a local election to choose who is the next leaders. So it's kind of the local value dealing with good governance as well. Okay, the next will be Dr. Dino. Do you want to answer the last question about how local value or value can deal with the governance issue as well, Dr. Dino?
Is that the last question is number 6 or number 5?
Number 5. Number 5.
Because it's jump suddenly they have a number 6.
Oh, number 5. Look, not just so the number 5, please. Yep.
Good local government is quite hard to establish the human resources aspect and others. Statement may become the accurate indicator that determine the level of success. In your opinion, does local government fit with our society? Okay, as you know that human is changed, human is complicated, human is unique. That's why it's not easy to fit with our society value, because everyone have their own view. Every person have their personal thinking. It's not easy to fulfill all the needs by the people, or not easy for the government or the government generally, the federal government or the local government to fulfill all the needs and to fit with the society value. Is not easy because the society, the new generation is more complicated in this present day. They are demanding something new. Okay, for example, last time in the 90s or the early 20s, people is happy if they have a jobs, if they have a good family. But in this present day, it's different. People didn't see anymore if they have a jobs. but people see how much is the salary. It's different, especially in this COVID pandemic period. It's different. Everything has changed. People know, for example, in Malaysia, last time maybe the government in Malaysia has spent 25 to 30% of the government budget to the education. Okay. And the increasing of graduate students. In Malaysia, it's different. Although that you didn't have money, you can borrow with the government. It's called PTPTN, Tabung Perbadanan Nasional Berhad. After you finish your first degree, you will pay back to the government. And nowadays, the people start changing. They don't want borrow through the PTTN, but they want free education. Okay, until they are finished their first degree or S1. They want free education. That's why to fit the society value is not something easy. That is from my personal view, Mr. Eko.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Dino. The next answer will be Mas Tunjung. Do you want to answer for this one?
Okay, Pak Eko, thank you for another opportunity. I think regardless to the driving discourse or maybe hidden agenda behind the principle of good governance, I think mostly of the values or principle of good governance is a necessity to improve our local government performance. Let's say that is the transparency, accountability, responsiveness, and also innovation, because I think this principle is very important, not just for the sake of the government itself, but also for the wealth of the welfare of the people. So I don't think there is a subversive value with this good governance principle to be implemented in Indonesia for general. Okay.
Nah, yang kamu pakai apa? Semua indikator. Okay, thank you very much, Mas Tunjung. You already done your answer, or you want to add more?
I would like to answer this question.
Okay.
I'm agree with Professor Tanjang. So because like the good governance is the crucial for society to move on positively, and to be more like transparency and more affect positively for the people. So I mean, I'm not sure by the society values, like what by the meaning that the student asked, what that is mean by that that is not fit with the social values. But in my perspective, if there is a value that's against the local government, the good governance, I think it should be slightly changed, because like we have a long way to go to have a fully implementing good governance. But I think people should consider that if we are moving forward those the good governance, any values that may have contrast with the governance should be changed. Like I mean, in my study, the attitude is very important. If people can change the attitude, that their participation or their action would be meaningful to the local government, they would participate more in the local levels or in the central government level. I think people should moving forward to the good governance values. And I think the new generation is actually moving, towards the good governance, because like the old generation, I mean, I consider myself as the old generation right now, because, when I was a child, when I was in school, there is no such a thing. I mean, like, compared to the new generation, they are very, like young and vibrant. I mean, when I was young, there is no one would say anything about the concept of good governance. I never heard it before until I was in, university. But right now, just the younger people, the children, they learn about the good governance from the early age, from their, primary school. And I think in the, the next probably like 10 years or 20 years, when these children, when these generation grow up to be, take more action in the society, and then they are workers or they are in the workplace, I think the good governance will be more, fully accomplished. And I think the social values will be changing, towards the positive of the good governance values. I think it's very important that the society values will move forward, to support the good governance, rather than, like, because I think because one of those issues is that, in many countries in the Southeast Asia, we have patronage system, which much, is not a very good for democracy. So I think those values must be, make like to decrease in the future.
Yeah, thank you very much. Because there is a time limitations. Once again, I would like to. Yeah.
Mr. Eko, can I just answer one question? It's direct to me, I think. From Jerman, I think Jerman Prawira Negara.
Oh yeah.
The question is direct to me. Okay, yes, Jerman. Okay. By using a simple words from me, this is my personal view. I think Mr. Eko is one of the person who have done his master and PhD in Leeds and Bradford University. Yes, we are happy. We are happy, as you stated here, that so that the welfare of the people of Southeast Asia, as has been done by the European Union. Yes, as we know that the education system, the welfare, the medical in United Kingdom specifically is free, everything in UK. But is our people is prepared to pay tax? If I'm not mistaken, Mr. Eko, in United Kingdom, they pay tax almost 30%, if I'm not mistaken. And we have to be fair. We don't just like to see positive side. We have to be fair. Okay, if me, yes, as a fair person, yes, they have no headache. In British, we always happy, Mr. Eko. we don't headache, we didn't stress. The money is always enough because the welfare, the education, the medical, for example, spec, who using the spec, you will get a spec free, if I'm not mistaken, until your age 18. Everything is peace of mind if you live there. However, are we prepared to go there with a tax? We have to be fair. We don't only see the positive side. How about other side that we didn't see? Okay, we have to be fair. If me, for example, if you give me a PR means that permanent resident to live in British,
you will move there and you will move and live there.
No, I will move and choose Malaysia as my country because yes, because for example, the weather, for example, Mr. Eko, if we are been there, yes, most of the time we just stay at our room because of the weather. And as a Muslim, we didn't go to pub to have a drink. That's why I prefer to choose Southeast Asian as my beloved country, especially Malaysia. For me, that is my personal view. Yes, I didn't deny that they have a lot of welfare in Europe country, especially the British. However, I think we have to be fair to our country. You have to understand that although that we go to others country, we still a foreigner. Yes, Mr. Eko.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
We are foreigner to them. Although that you have a driving license, for example, I have a UK driving license, but every time I see the police in the street, I still worry is that the police will stop me. Although that I have a, because we're still a foreigner to their eyes. That is my personal view.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, just to audience, let you know that actually I and also Dr. Dino always go around together. Sometimes, especially because Dr. Dino has own car in the UK, so we are always traveling alone. And it was really nice. I can travel along with him and travel along, go to around city in the
but I didn't deny. I didn't deny in British system, in European system, the welfare is good, the education is good, the medical is good. They didn't have insurance like us. We have to go to hospital. They need insurance. They didn't have insurance. But it's not easy life.
Yeah.
It's not easy life because, as you know, for example, you have take a bath in the early morning, take or didn't take, monthly you have to pay around 35 pounds.
Yeah, it's true.
You have to pay lots of your electricity. Your house is almost, I think, 500 pounds, Mr. Eko.
Yeah.
Not easy life. Don't see everything is like the heaven, but it's not easy. It's not the easy life.
Okay, thank you very much. Actually, we have been living there for 5 years. It's not easy life, but it's enjoy life.
For example, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Eko, first room in Mr. Eko, you know where is Mr. Eko live? Down of Mr. Eko house room is a, I think like a restaurant. Fried chicken.
Yes,
Mr.
restaurant.
Eko live in one small room. That's why I'm saying that it's not easy. Like Mr. Eko is stay in a one small room. Am I right, Mr. Eko?
Yeah.
One small room. It's not easy life. Don't see everything is nice, but the truth is not. It's like that. You can ask Mr. Eko. Small room. Stay in the small room. That is Mr. Eko.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Dino. Yeah, I stay in small room. But my heart is very full with big room in my heart.
Because Mr. Eko gain, if I'm not mistaken, around 800, 700 pounds monthly.
Yes.
It's not enough.
Yeah.
It's not easy life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Any more question for the audience? If you have any question for the last section before we close at 11 PM in Indonesia time or 12 PM? Anyone? Please just turn on your microphone. Okay.
The question number 6.
Okay. Oke, Mbak Ria, silakan Mbak Ria Angin, if you want to answer.
In my opinion, this question is unoptimistic because there's still time, for Anies to make a good public policy. The real problems is depend on the people around him. Are there any support from his officials or from the parliament, the DKI parliament? And he must make a good performance. But if there is no support, it is off for Anies. I think this the answer of this question.
Okay, thank you very much for this answer. Ponsar, this is for last words. Do you want some last word, last statement?
Last statement, I would like to, stress to the question that Professor Dino just add to the, the question that the European Union have a better welfare. I think it's just really important that I have to see anything, both sides. Sometimes we tend to see all the negativity or the good side, but we really have to see everything, in both sides, even with the local governments. I think there are still a long way to go, to the good governance in Southeast Asia, because we do really have like a common issue, in Southeast Asia, because the political culture is, I think, is very much alike, and also the society value as well. And for the next generation or for the student, don't forget to see anything in both sides. Don't just criticize the government or criticize the local government, but not seeing the good thing that there are impact on your life, and just go out and participate whatever you can, and the change will be coming from within yourself first.
Thank you for giving remark. We have to look both sides cover properly. And Mas Tunjung, do you have a last statement from this meeting?
I have to concrete answer, Pak Eko, to answer this very good question. I think the first, central government should have a clear and also consistent policies, so that therefore local government won't be confused and they can make very good and right decisions to overcome the pandemic. And also the second one, just let us choose political fire for a moment, because in this pandemic, the different political standing between the political actor in Indonesia shouldn't be taken as a determinant for the action. So just focus to overcome the pandemic. Okay, that's all, Pak Eko. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Iffan, do you have, Dr. Iffan or Dr. Ria Angin, do you have last statement?
Yes.
Okay.
In my opinion, private sector is a choice and important to overcome people who are affected by the COVID-19. And government and also private sector must hand in hand in this program. Governance that is values of governance like transparency, accountability, the rule of law. It must be used in everything what government done, in every ways. Maybe Mr.
Thank you very much, Mbak Ria Angin. Because we don't have enough time, Mas Iffan, sorry.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, then the next one for Mas Dino. Do you have last statement?
No, I think okay, for the opportunity that have been given by Mr. Eko, and I think we can be friends to other presenter maybe one day my university will invite you. And salam Ramadan, inshallah, our fasting by tomorrow.
Happy fasting together for you all.
Thank you very much to all the speaker. Thank you very much as well to all the participant, and also thank you very much to all the co-hosts. There are many co-hosts here: Mohd University, Jangma University, Khon Kaen University, Thammasat University, Universitas Utara Malaysia, Universitas Terengganu Malaysia, Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, Universitas Muhammadiyah Jakarta, Universiti Muhammadiyah Jember, Mindanao State University Elegance, and also some of university that Masyarakat University, Khon Kaen University. And thank you very much for your participation once again. Before we close this event, there are a few things. First, in terms of good governance, I think in both country, each country has own problem. In this own problem, we as researcher, we as academia, we have own task. We have to make sure that we have to support our country to deal with this disadvantage, to make sure that disadvantage we can reduce, and also we have to support the advantage in the end of the advantage, so we can make sure there is improvement on the good governance. The first one. The second one, there is a collaboration among us, because we already have cooperation currently, so we have to help each other. Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, the Philippines, and in Southeast Asian country, we have to help each other to make sure the good governance, and also support the poverty, and also reduce the poverty and support our democracy as well. Last but not least, I will meet again in the next 2 weeks. The next presenter will be from Maju University and also Michigan Mindanao State University. After that, I will pass the forum to Luna to close, and also all the participants, you can turn on your video so we can take a picture together. Lubna, thank you very much to all the participants. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wabarakatuh.
Thank you for all the speakers. Thank you so much to Dr. Pornsan Piyanantisak. Thank you so much to Dr. Tunjung Sulaksono. Thank you so much to Dr. Ria Angin. Also, thank you so much to Dr. Mohd Dino Khairri. Also, thank you so much to Dr. Iffan G.E Muhammady for all your insights and by sharing with us. It's really a good insight and also enhance our acknowledgement about the local government. For all the participants, would you please turn on all of your camera before we finish the public lecture, so we can take a documentation for all of you.
Turn on your video, and Mas Tunjung, please turn off your mic, because your mic is always on. It's so noisy. Yeah, okay. Mbak Lubna.
Mute. Mbak Lubna mute.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Okay, I will move to the next slide. 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much for everyone. We hope to see you again in our next public lectures. I hope you will be always in a good health, especially during this pandemic, and also please taking care of your health during this time. We're looking forward to see you in the next time. See you. Thank you, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you very much. Mbak Ria Angin, thank you. Mas Dino, thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
I will meet you in Khon Kaen for sure.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Please have a contention.
Sure.
Bye, Thailand.
Yeah. Can we go to Thailand?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Let's go to Bangkok and Pattaya.
Okay, Sungkupit and all the participants. Bye.
Happy fasting day.